We all make mistakes in life choices, but when a superstar football player makes one that costs him everything, it definitely goes viral. Robbed at gunpoint, car accident, and even deceived by a lawyer to do something totally illegal. These are mistakes that cost football players millions. And wait till you see how a happily ever after story made another player lose so much that he nearly took his life. See, Neymar always dreamed of living life in the fast lane. So when he got his big paycheck, he thought to himself, since I'm fast on the pitch, I probably need a fast whip on the track. So he splashed over $275,000 on a red Ferrari 458 Spider that can rip to 62 miles an hour in 3 seconds. Trust me, affording this puppy obviously wasn't a big deal to Neymar. I mean, dude earns over $180,000 a week, meaning he could afford to buy a Ferrari Spider every 2 weeks. That's crazy, but maybe he should have thought twice about living life 200 miles an hour, because what was about to happen would change his life forever. On the 27th of November 2016, Barcelona was preparing for its clash against Real Sociedad. Neymar had attended training the previous day and went to bed totally exhausted. He woke up to a series of calls from his coach and colleagues and knew he had to pack things fast to meet up for training before hopping on a flight to San Sebastian. However, he forgot to check the weather because he had a lot on his mind. From a court case where he faced 2 years in jail and a fine of $10 million to mounting pressure from fans for 0 goals in 6 games, Neymar just wasn't thinking straight. So he hopped into his red Ferrari 458 Spider and disappeared in 20 seconds. A few minutes later, his teammates tried calling him again, but Neymar wasn't responding. It was pretty strange because there's absolutely no way that a V8 engine Ferrari Spider will journey that long to a distance of less than 20 kilometers. And that was when the shocking news hit the media. Neymar had been involved in a terrible accident. When the police and paramedics arrived at the scene, they scouted the area, and the Brazilian star was nowhere to be found, and everybody began to panic. But just then, he was spotted crawling out of his wrecked Ferrari. Fortunately, Neymar still made it to practice and was later pictured at the airport. And from then on, he made it his life's mission to dedicate everything to the sport. Neymar might have caused his own loss, but the next player, who just couldn't keep his mouth shut, made a mistake that cost him more than millions. Angel Di Maria is undoubtedly one of the best football players to come out of South America. From record-breaking goals to coming through for his team when they needed him the most, my boy is just out of this world. So it's no surprise Mauricio Pochettino wanted him on his starting 11. Soon, Di Maria signed a multi-million-pounds deal with PSG and went on a shopping spree. He bought his dream cars, not 1, not 2. We don't even know how many, because he kept pulling up in different rides. However, he soon realized that if he wanted to feel more at home, he'd need a home to match his taste. But instead of a home, the Argentine copped a £3.5 million mansion that came with literally everything he ever wanted. An indoor swimming pool with glass panels into the living room, a playroom for the kids, a gym, an office, a jacuzzi, just name it. But the thing with living in a very high-spec and high-tech mansion is that you just can't shut up about it. Di Maria and his better half, Georgina, went on a rampage posting pictures of the home all over Instagram. But what he didn't know is that someone somewhere got so mad that he vowed to take a piece of the home for himself. And it happened in the most unexpected way. One night, some criminals pulled up to Di Maria's crib and waited in the shadows for him to leave for his match against Nantes. As soon as he left, they knocked at his door. Thinking it was her husband, Georgina answered the door, and right in front of her were a couple of gun-wielding men. The gang soon took his family hostage and had a field day gathering as much as they could from the house. One of Angel's neighbors knew something wasn't right and called the police, who in turn notified PSG sporting director Leonardo. Leonardo soon informed Mauricio Pochettino, who immediately substituted Di Maria with Leandro Paredes after 62 minutes. At first, everything looked fine, till fans noticed Angel racing to the dressing room in the company of coach Pochettino. And in a few seconds, Di Maria left the pitch en route to his house. On getting home, the criminals were long gone and everyone was fine, but the player lost valuables running into millions, including watches, jewelry, and cash. Following the incident, Di Maria immediately moved his family to a hotel, deleted pictures of his valuables and home from his Instagram, and put the house up for sale. Di Maria really spent millions just to put his family at risk. But the next player's mistake didn't just cost him millions, it nearly cost him his life. You see, sometimes you really have to watch your back, because the people that you trust most could be money robbing you blind. And Paul Pogba learned this lesson the hard way. Paul was the least player you'd expect to be faced with a life-threatening situation. Right from his formative years, young Pogba has been known to be generous and always wanting to look out for everyone around him. So when he closed a deal running into millions and millions of dollars, everyone around him expected him to be the same Paul Pogba they've always known, and he didn't disappoint. Pogba immediately started sending money to his family and friends, taking care of everybody close to him for over a decade, fronting a foundation jointly headed by him and his brother, and even went as far as letting his friends live in his mansion for free. So if he's not a Mr. Nice Guy, then I really don't know who is. But Pogba's generosity got him taken advantage of. One day he noticed his credit card was missing and over $200,000 was stolen to buy something online. It was later revealed that someone close to Pogba was responsible, and his response was expected. From being Mr. Nice Guy, Paul became a Mr. Mean Guy. He lost his trust in everybody, kicked everyone out to focus on himself, stopped helping his entourage, and even started moving alone without his boys hovering around him, which was his usual nature. But little did he know what was coming for him. Things turned so deadly that criminals lurked around the player's house one night and waited for him to get home. They pulled up to Pogba's crib as soon as he arrived and knocked at his door. When they wanted man to come out, they grabbed him, bundled him into a waiting car's boot, and took him to a secret location where he had to cough out a whopping $13 million. That transaction may have kept Pogba alive, but it turned out he knew precisely who abducted him. Pogba recognized the voices, so he called the police and told them it was his childhood friend and his own brother, Matthias. It wasn't long before the situation made headlines everywhere, and after the story broke the news, Pogba's brother was eventually arrested for armed abduction and extortion. Although Matthias would claim he was at his team's training ground when the incident occurred, his alibi wasn't credible enough to make him a free man. So Pogba's mistake was doing too much for the wrong people. But he didn't just lose more than $13 million, it cost him his brother and his friend. At least Pogba lost his millions to someone he knows. But the same can't be said for Emmanuel Ibue, who lost so much that he almost took his life. You may remember Ibue as one of the funniest men ever to play football. Whether he was spying on the North Korean team during the 2010 World Cup, beating players down the wing for Arsenal and Côte d'Ivoire, or even asking the Queen of England if he could be the royal dog walker, he was always entertaining.
Danny! Let's go!
The Ivorian player wedded Aurélie Bertrand back in 2004 in Belgium, and they lived happily ever after till something happened. Problems started after he was suspended from football for a year for refusing to pay his agent. Ibue soon took to drinking and womanizing, and when Aurélie had had enough, she called it quits. Ibue lost £7 million, his home in North London, cars worth millions of pounds, and was even restricted from communicating with his kids. While others might take to alcohol or even womanizing, the Ivorian just wasn't lucky and lost almost everything. Now, there are a lot of dumb ways football players spend their money, but Zlatan Ibrahimovic has spent millions trying to live life on the fast lane and, of course, impress the girls. Like, this man hit a car dealership and copped a Ferrari Monza SP2, and when he got bored, he immediately ordered a Porsche 911 Targa 4S. While he did get the girls, this purchase put a target on his back, and Zlatan immediately went into hiding. And that's just the beginning. I'm sure you want to hear more about that, so how about you click on this video? These are stupid things football players own. Trust me, you'd be amazed that a player's fish even lives in a better house than you do.